The sun hung low over Asheville, casting a warm glow on the vibrant streets filled with art galleries and bustling cafes. I stood in the kitchen, my hands busy chopping vegetables for dinner, while my husband, Mark, sat at the dining table, engrossed in his laptop. The hum of his work was a constant backdrop, a reminder of how distant we had grown. I glanced at him occasionally, hoping for a spark of connection, but his focus remained fixed on the screen. "Are you going to join me for dinner?" I asked, trying to break through the wall of his concentration. He barely looked up. "Just a minute," he replied absently. I sighed and continued my task. The smell of sautéing onions filled the air, mingling with the faint scent of fresh paint from the living room where I had tried to revive an old canvas. Painting used to be my escape, a way to express myself when words failed me. But lately, it felt like just another reminder of how stagnant my life had become. As I stirred the pot on the stove, my mind drifted to Ethan, my stepson. At 23, he was passionate about photography and had recently taken up a project documenting local artists in Asheville. I admired his talent and dedication. It reminded me of who I once was before life became so predictable. Ethan often invited me to join him during his shoots, but I hesitated. What would Mark think? Would he see it as an intrusion or worse, a sign that our marriage was faltering? The door swung open with a creak as Ethan entered, his camera slung over one shoulder and an easy smile on his face. "Hey Claire. Smells amazing in here," he said as he moved toward me. "Just trying to whip up something decent for dinner," I replied with a smile that felt more genuine than any I had worn in weeks. "Need any help?" His enthusiasm was infectious. "No, but thank you." My heart raced at the thought of spending time alone with him. "How was your day?" "Busy but good. I got some great shots at the gallery opening last night." His eyes lit up as he spoke about his passion. "You should have come with me." "I didn't want to intrude," I admitted. "You wouldn't be intruding at all," he insisted earnestly. "I'd love for you to be there next time." A flicker of excitement ignited within me. Maybe this could be a way to reconnect with myself, through him and his art. As we chatted about photography techniques over dinner preparations, I felt an old spark of creativity stirring inside me. Perhaps this was what I needed, validation through artistic expression. Later that evening, as we cleaned up together after dinner, Ethan suggested we take some candid shots around our home using natural light from the setting sun. The idea thrilled me. It felt like an invitation into his world, a world where creativity thrived and connection flourished. As we set up for the shoot in our backyard surrounded by blooming azaleas and towering pines, laughter bubbled between us like champagne fizzing in a glass. We played with angles and lighting while sharing stories about our lives, his aspirations as a photographer and my long-lost dreams as an artist. "Okay," he said suddenly, looking through his lens at me with an intensity that made my heart race. "Give me your best candid smile." I laughed nervously but complied. As he snapped photos, I felt lighter than air. Each click of the shutter captured not just my image but also fragments of forgotten joy. "You have such a beautiful spirit," Ethan remarked as he reviewed some images on his camera's screen. "You should really consider getting back into painting." His words struck deep within me, a reminder of who I used to be before life's responsibilities dulled my passion like old paint left too long in sunlight. "I don't know if I'm ready," I replied quietly. "Why not? You have so much talent." He stepped closer, lowering his voice slightly as if sharing a secret between us. "You deserve to pursue what makes you happy." In that moment, surrounded by nature's beauty, I felt seen for perhaps the first time in years. It was intoxicating, a rush of warmth flooding through me as if someone had finally turned on the lights after years spent in shadows. As dusk settled around us like a soft blanket enveloping our small world together, the sky painted shades of pink and orange, I caught Ethan's gaze lingering on mine longer than necessary. My heart raced again. Something unspoken hung between us, a tension that shimmered like heat waves rising off asphalt on summer days. Before either of us could pull away from this newfound closeness, this electric connection, I leaned closer, instinctively driven by emotions buried too long beneath layers of routine and obligation. What if we did something more together? His voice trembled slightly, an invitation laced with uncertainty yet brimming with possibility. I hesitated only briefly before whispering back impulsively, "What do you mean?" He stepped even closer now until our breaths mingled in that charged space between us, the world fading away beyond our shared moment under fading daylight. "We could create something beautiful together," he suggested softly, his eyes searching mine for understanding, or perhaps seeking permission. In that instant, a flicker ignited within me, a desire long suppressed, yearning for validation fueled by more than just art. It craved connection too deep to ignore anymore. But just then, the sound of Mark's car pulling into our driveway shattered everything, the mundane reality crashing back into our fragile bubble like waves against rocks, eroding their edges over time, leaving only remnants behind. Ethan pulled back abruptly, his expression shifting from hopefulness to apprehension as reality settled heavily upon us both, once again reminding us both how fragile these moments could truly be amidst lives already intertwined. "I guess we'll talk later." His voice barely above a whisper, now tinged with uncertainty, as if sensing how quickly things could unravel from here forward. I nodded numbly, watching him retreat toward the house, feeling both exhilarated yet terrified at what lay ahead. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting warm hues across the Asheville landscape. I stood in my kitchen, staring out at the mountains, my heart racing from the unexpected kiss. A mix of exhilaration and dread coursed through me. How had we crossed that line? The boundaries I thought were firm had crumbled in an instant. I tried to shake off the moment, focusing instead on the photo project my stepson, Ethan, had proposed. He had a talent for capturing emotions through his lens, and I felt drawn to that creativity. Perhaps it could serve as a distraction or even a way to explore this newfound connection without diving deeper into chaos. "Are you ready for tomorrow?" Ethan's voice broke into my thoughts as he walked into the kitchen, a camera slung over his shoulder. "Yeah, I think so," I replied, forcing a smile. "What do you have in mind?" He grinned, excitement lighting up his features. "I want to capture the essence of our small town, the art scene and how it reflects our lives. We'll start at the Orange Peel and then head to some galleries." "Sounds perfect," I said, though my stomach churned with anxiety about spending more time with him alone. As we discussed our plans, I found myself sharing more personal stories, memories from my childhood and dreams long buried beneath the weight of adult responsibilities. With each word, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. It was as if I were shedding layers of isolation that had clung to me for years. Ethan listened intently, nodding as if he understood my struggles intimately. There was something comforting about his presence that made me feel seen, something I had desperately missed in my marriage. "Do you ever feel like you're invisible?" I asked suddenly, surprising myself with the vulnerability of my words. He paused before answering. "Sometimes. Especially when people don't see your worth." His gaze held mine for a moment too long before he continued, "But you're not invisible to me." My breath caught in my throat at his words. There was an intensity in his eyes that made my heart race again. It felt dangerous yet thrilling, a stark contrast to the mundane life I had grown accustomed to. The next day arrived quickly, nerves fluttered in my stomach as we set out for our photo adventure. We wandered through the streets of Asheville, capturing vibrant murals and candid moments of locals engaging with art. Each click of Ethan's camera felt like a heartbeat, alive and electric. At the Orange Peel, we found ourselves surrounded by music and laughter from patrons enjoying their evening out. The atmosphere buzzed with energy as Ethan snapped photos of musicians performing on stage while I captured candid reactions from the crowd. Afterward, We stepped outside for fresh air under a canopy of stars twinkling above us. The night was alive with possibilities. It felt like anything could happen in this moment suspended between reality and fantasy. "I want to try something," he said suddenly, pulling me toward an alley adorned with street art that glowed under neon lights. "What do you mean?" My heart raced as curiosity mingled with apprehension. "Just trust me." He positioned himself behind the camera and gestured for me to pose against one of the murals, a vibrant explosion of colors swirling around me like a dreamscape. As he clicked away, I began to lose myself in the moment. The laughter echoing around us faded into background noise while all that existed was him and me framed within this artistic bubble. "Beautiful," he murmured after reviewing a few shots on his camera screen. "You really come alive when you're surrounded by art." I smiled shyly at his compliment but felt something shift between us, an unspoken tension hanging thick in the air. As if sensing it too, Ethan stepped closer until our bodies nearly touched. In that instant, everything else faded away, the world beyond us melted into obscurity as our eyes locked once more. Without thinking or hesitation guiding us this time, we kissed, a soft brush of lips that ignited something deep within me. It was fleeting yet profound, a collision of emotions too complex for words but undeniable nonetheless. My mind raced as reality crashed back. What were we doing? This wasn't just playful experimentation anymore, it felt serious and terrifyingly real. We pulled apart slowly, breathless silence enveloped us as we processed what had just happened. I shouldn't have, I started but hesitated when seeing Ethan's expression, a mix of confusion and longing mirrored mine back at him. "I know," he said softly but firmly enough to convey understanding without judgment lingering between us like an uninvited guest at dinner. The drive home felt longer than usual, each mile stretched painfully as guilt gnawed at my insides while memories replayed vividly. The way his lips felt against mine igniting both passion and fear alike swirling within me like wildfire threatening to consume everything around us if left unchecked. When I finally stepped inside our house later that night after dropping him off at his place first, my husband's absence weighed heavily on every corner reminding me how alone I truly felt despite being surrounded by people who loved me, or so they claimed. I went through motions preparing dinner while pretending nothing had changed, but everything had shifted irrevocably since yesterday's kiss lingered on my lips hauntingly sweet yet bitter all at once. Later that evening while scrolling through social media absent-mindedly waiting for Mark's return from work, I stumbled upon posts showcasing local artists' work featured prominently throughout galleries opening soon, including one showcasing photographs taken by none other than Ethan himself. A knot twisted tighter within me seeing images captured so beautifully juxtaposed against every emotion bubbling beneath surface level. Mark finally arrived home late after what seemed like an eternity spent grappling internally with conflicting feelings surfacing unexpectedly amidst mundane tasks filling hours previously filled with anticipation now replaced by anxiety instead. "Hey," he greeted casually as though nothing hung heavy between us despite knowing otherwise lurking just beneath surface waiting patiently until ready reveal itself fully. "Hi," I replied trying hard keep voice steady avoiding eye contact fearing what might slip out if allowed vulnerability seep through cracks left unguarded. He walked past without noticing anything amiss, perhaps preoccupied thinking about work again rather than focusing attention where needed most here, on us. As night deepened shadows danced across walls reflecting turmoil brewing within heart yearning find clarity amidst chaos surrounding choices made recently. Tomorrow would bring new challenges ahead. One way or another everything changed forever whether embraced willingly or resisted fiercely until consequences caught up eventually leaving no room escape fate sealed, already written somewhere unseen waiting reveal itself soon enough. The morning light filtered through the curtains, casting stripes across the room. I sat on the edge of the bed, my heart racing as I replayed the events from the previous day. It was an exhilarating rush to be so close to him, yet guilt gnawed at my insides like a persistent ache. The thrill of our creative collaboration had ignited something deep within me, but it also left a trail of confusion. I glanced at my phone, noting the time. My husband would be home earlier than expected, and I hadn't prepared for that reality. The thought of facing him while carrying this secret felt unbearable. I needed to find clarity about what was happening between my stepson and me. In the kitchen, I poured myself a cup of coffee, trying to steady my trembling hands. Each sip was a reminder of how much I craved validation, something I hadn't felt in years. The warmth spread through me, but it couldn't erase the cold knot of betrayal that lingered in my chest. As I scrolled through my messages, a new notification caught my eye, a text from him. "Can we meet before your husband gets back?" My heart raced again. This was both thrilling and terrifying. We had shared so much in our creative process, yet now it felt like we were standing on shaky ground. I typed back quickly, "Yes." "Where?" "Let's go to that overlook by Blue Ridge Parkway," he replied. The idea sent a rush of adrenaline through me. It was a place where we had shared laughter and creativity, a sanctuary away from prying eyes. But even as excitement bubbled within me, a voice whispered caution. What were we doing? I finished my coffee and grabbed my camera before heading out the door. The drive was filled with anticipation and dread intertwined. Each mile brought me closer to him but also deeper into uncertainty about our choices. Arriving at the overlook, I spotted him leaning against his car, gazing out at the view beyond. The mountains stretched infinitely under the bright sky, a stark contrast to the turmoil inside me. As he turned to greet me, that familiar spark ignited between us once more. "Hey," he said softly, his eyes searching mine for something unspoken. "Hey," I replied, feeling vulnerable yet drawn in by his presence. We began taking photos together again, capturing moments that felt electric with unexpressed emotions. Each click of the shutter seemed to draw us closer together, laughter echoed around us as we played with angles and lighting. Then came that moment when our lips met unexpectedly, a brief collision that sent shockwaves through both of us. It was intoxicating yet terrifying, as if we'd crossed an invisible line that once kept us safe from this chaos. "I shouldn't have done that," he said breathlessly after pulling away slightly. "No," I whispered back, torn between desire and guilt swirling inside me like a storm. We continued shooting photographs as if nothing had happened, but every glance lingered longer than before, every brush of our arms sent shivers down my spine. After what felt like hours lost in creativity and connection, reality crashed back down when my phone buzzed again, another message from my husband, "I'm almost home." Panic surged through me as time slipped away faster than I could process it. "I have to go," I said abruptly, feeling both exhilarated and terrified by what lay ahead. He nodded slowly but didn't move closer or attempt to stop me as I hurriedly packed up my equipment. "Claire," his voice trailed off behind me like an echo fading into silence. Driving home felt surreal. Each turn made my stomach churn with dread about facing him again while harboring this secret so heavy on my shoulders. How could everything shift so drastically in such a short time? When I stepped into our home, it felt different, charged with unspoken tension hanging thick in the air like fog enveloping everything around me. My husband stood at the kitchen counter sorting through mail. His back was turned toward me as if he sensed something amiss but couldn't quite put his finger on it. "Hey," he greeted without looking up. "Hi," I replied softly while trying not to betray any hint of anxiety bubbling beneath surface calmness. He turned then, his expression shifted slightly as if searching for signs or clues hidden behind layers built over years spent together, a familiarity now tinged with uncertainty between us both. "I didn't expect you back so soon." I finished early. His tone remained neutral but edged with curiosity now directed toward me instead of what lay scattered across countertops before him. Bills piled high alongside unopened letters waiting patiently for attention long overdue since life drifted into routine monotony years ago without notice until recently shaken awake by newfound passions found unexpectedly elsewhere. As minutes passed filled only with mundane exchanges about dinner plans or weekend activities ahead, nothing particularly remarkable, yet everything felt charged somehow. I couldn't shake off feeling watched closely despite attempts maintaining normalcy amidst chaos brewing beneath surface calmness lingering just out reach beyond grasp. Just then came another message alert breaking silence. The sound jolted both our heads toward phones simultaneously before returning gaze back toward one another, almost instinctively aware something shifted irreversibly between us forevermore, no matter how hard tried pretending otherwise. It was too late. Decisions made could never be undone, even if wished for. Chance rewind, time erase moments forever etched, memory banks, hearts intertwined irrevocably, now bound tightly together, tangled web spun, intricately woven threads pulling tighter, each passing second ticking away relentlessly, reminding choices made carry consequences far beyond immediate grasp. The soft glow of the morning sun filtered through the curtains, casting gentle patterns across the room. I stirred awake, my heart racing as I recalled the events of the previous night. The warmth beside me was a reminder of our choices that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. We spent the night together, and now I lay there questioning everything. I reached for my phone, hoping to find some semblance of normalcy in a text or a missed call from my husband. Instead, I saw an unread message from him, sent just a few hours ago. "Claire, can we talk? I'm coming home early today." My stomach dropped. The weight of his words settled heavily on my chest, and dread washed over me. "What's wrong?" My stepson's voice broke through my thoughts as he stirred beside me. His eyes were still heavy with sleep but filled with concern. "I don't know," I replied softly, trying to mask my anxiety. It's too soon for this." He shifted closer, brushing his fingers against mine in a gesture meant to reassure me. "We'll figure it out," he murmured. But how could we? The secret we shared felt insurmountable now that reality was knocking at our door. I slipped out of bed quietly, not wanting to wake him fully just yet. The kitchen felt like a sanctuary as I brewed coffee, each drip echoing in the silence around me. My mind raced with thoughts of what lay ahead, my husband's return and the inevitable confrontation that loomed over us like storm clouds. As I poured myself a cup, memories of last night flooded back, the laughter, the connection we shared through art and conversation that had drawn us closer than I ever anticipated. But now those moments felt tainted by guilt and fear. I took a deep breath and decided to send a quick message back to my husband. "Sure, let's talk when you get here." It was vague enough to buy me some time while I tried to sort through my emotions. Returning to the bedroom, I found him sitting up now, rubbing his eyes as if waking from a dream. "What's going on?" he asked again, his voice laced with concern. "Just things are complicated," I admitted carefully. He nodded slowly but didn't press further. Instead, he reached for his camera on the nightstand, a natural instinct for him as an artist, and began flipping through photos from our recent shoots together. Each image was a snapshot of our growing intimacy, candid smiles and shared moments froze in time. "Look at this one," he said excitedly, holding up an image where sunlight danced across my face during one of our sessions in the park. "You look so alive here." "Thanks," I replied weakly, feeling both flattered and exposed under his gaze. Alive, I thought bitterly as I stared at that photo. The irony was not lost on me considering how dead inside I often felt in my marriage. As he continued scrolling through images taken during our collaborative project, each click resonated with unspoken words between us, words that were becoming increasingly difficult to ignore as reality edged closer. Suddenly there was a knock at the door. It startled us both into silence. "Claire?" "It's me," came my husband's voice from outside. My heart raced again. Panic surged within me like wildfire, consuming everything in its path. "What do we do?" I whispered urgently to him. "Just act normal," he suggested, but even he sounded unsure. I nodded but knew there was nothing normal about this situation anymore. We exchanged one last glance before stepping out into the world outside those four walls, a world where secrets could no longer remain hidden. Opening the door felt like stepping off a cliff into unknown waters below. Uncertainty swirled around us as we faced my husband together, two sides of an unspoken conflict laid bare before him. "Hey," he said simply but with an edge that hinted at deeper tensions simmering beneath his calm exterior. "Hey," I replied back awkwardly while glancing at my stepson who stood beside me like an anchor amidst turbulent seas. "We need to talk," he said firmly as he stepped inside without invitation, his presence filling every corner of our home with unasked questions hanging heavy in the air between us, all three standing silently together, caught in this moment, suspended before everything changed irrevocably once more. The conversation unfolded slowly. Words were chosen carefully but carried weight beyond their meanings. A dance around truths neither could avoid forevermore, despite attempts made earlier today trying not think about consequences looming overhead, threatening destruction if left unchecked any longer. "I've noticed you've been distant lately," he began cautiously, looking directly into my eyes, searching for answers only found within shadows cast by secrets kept too long hidden away from view. "I've been busy with work," I offered weakly, trying to deflect attention away from what felt inevitable, now looming closer than ever before. But then came another wave crashing down, his expression shifting, suddenly revealing something darker lurking beneath surface calmness, masking deeper concerns gnawing away, steadily eroding trust built over years spent together navigating life side by side. "Claire," he paused, deliberately choosing next words, carefully measuring impact they'd have on fragile state existing between us all right now, suspended precariously, teetering edge brink uncertainty. "I found something." The air thickened instantly, tension crackled like static electricity filling room, suffocating any remaining hope left unspoken, lingering just beyond reach grasp. "What do you mean?" My voice trembled slightly, betraying fear bubbling beneath surface facade maintained until now, desperately clinging onto whatever semblance normalcy remained intact amidst chaos unfolding around us. "It's your phone." His tone shifted again, sharper, cutting through silence, slicing straight down core essence, truth buried deep within heart's tangled web, spun tightly woven threads pulling tighter each passing moment, reminding choices made carry consequences far beyond immediate grasp. Before either of us could respond further or even comprehend, reality settling heavy upon shoulders, suddenly crashing down upon lives forever altered, irreparably shattered, pieces scattered everywhere, leaving behind wreckage, hearts once whole now fractured beyond repair. The weight of the moment pressed down on me, a suffocating blanket of dread. My heart raced as I stared at the phone in my husband's hand, the incriminating video flickering on the screen. It was a moment captured in time, an intimate exchange that had felt so innocent in the creative whirlwind we had shared. Now, it stood as undeniable evidence of betrayal. "What is this?" he demanded, his voice low and steady, but I could hear the tremor beneath. The air thickened with unspoken accusations and hurt. I opened my mouth to respond, but words failed me. How could I explain? How could I make him understand that this was not just about physical attraction? It was about longing for connection, for validation that had been absent in our marriage for so long. The camera had become a bridge between two worlds, my mundane life and a vibrant reality where I felt seen. He glanced at me, then back at the screen, disbelief mingling with anger. "You've been lying to me," he said quietly, each word punctuated by a sharp inhale. "I didn't mean for it to happen," I finally managed to say. "It just developed." "Developed?" His voice rose slightly as he took a step closer, his eyes narrowing. "You call this development? This is deceit." I flinched at the accusation. How could I defend myself without sounding like I was making excuses? The truth was messy and complicated. It wasn't just betrayal, it was desperation wrapped in creativity and longing. "Can we talk about this somewhere private?" I suggested weakly, glancing around at the bustling gallery filled with art lovers unaware of our drama unfolding just steps away from them. "No," he shook his head vehemently. "This needs to be addressed now." The tension crackled between us like static electricity. My mind raced through all the possible outcomes of this confrontation while my heart sank deeper into despair. Would he expose everything here? In front of people who admired our work? Before I could respond further, my stepson appeared at my side, concern etched across his face as he sensed the charged atmosphere. "Is everything okay?" he asked cautiously. "No." My husband's voice boomed through the gallery, drawing attention from nearby patrons who paused mid-conversation to look our way. "Everything is not okay. Your mother has been lying to me." A wave of embarrassment washed over me as whispers rippled through the crowd. My cheeks burned hot with shame, their curious gazes felt like daggers piercing through my facade of composure. "Dad," my stepson began but faltered under his father's glare. "Stay out of this," my husband snapped before turning back to me. "You think you can keep this hidden forever?" "I never meant for it to be hidden," I protested weakly, feeling cornered by circumstances spiraling beyond my control. "You never meant for it to happen," he echoed mockingly. "What does that even mean?" "It means," the words caught in my throat as I struggled to find clarity amidst chaos. What did it mean? Did it justify anything? The gallery around us buzzed with murmurs and shifting feet as people began to draw closer, eager for drama unfolding before them like a live performance art piece gone awry. My stepson stepped forward again, desperation evident in his tone. "Let's just talk privately." "No." My husband cut him off again before turning back toward me with eyes blazing like wildfire, igniting everything they touched. "You think you can play house with him while pretending everything is fine at home?" The accusation hung heavy in the air like smoke from a fire long extinguished yet still smoldering beneath the surface, a reminder of what once was before passion turned into betrayal. "I don't want this," I shouted suddenly, surprising even myself with the force behind those words. "What do you want then?" He challenged me fiercely, there was no escaping now. But what did I want? A moment of clarity eluded me amidst swirling emotions clouding reason as memories flooded back. Moments spent laughing over coffee or sharing dreams under starlit skies fading into darkness, consumed by shadows creeping closer every day, threatening to swallow everything whole if left unchecked. My husband's expression softened momentarily before hardening again into something unyielding, a wall built high enough that no amount of pleading would breach its fortress walls anymore. "Whatever you wanted," he said coldly, "you've lost it." At that moment, something inside snapped, a realization dawning upon me that this wasn't merely about love lost or trust shattered. It was about identity stripped bare beneath layers once carefully constructed over years, now laid exposed, vulnerable, raw, aching, desperately seeking solace amidst wreckage left behind. As if sensing my turmoil deep within him too, my stepson reached out, tentatively grasping my arm, gently pulling me aside from prying eyes lingering too close for comfort while whispering urgently against chaos surrounding us, "Let's get out of here." But where would we go? Away from judgmental stares filled with pity or scorn? Away from consequences looming large, casting shadows across futures uncertain? Just then another figure emerged from behind. The gallery owner, who had been observing quietly until now, stepped forward, breaking tension thick enough cut through steel. "I think we need some space here." Grateful but fearful, I turned toward my stepson, searching desperately within those familiar eyes, hoping against hope they held answers somehow. Yet instead found only reflection, mirroring confusion, uncertainty lingering, still hanging heavy between us like fog, clinging, stubbornly refusing dissipate even under brightest sunlight shining down, illuminating paths ahead obscured moments ago. As we moved toward exit together, leaving behind whispers trailing after us, I couldn't help but wonder what awaited beyond, doors swinging shut behind us, sealing fate, irrevocably altering lives intertwined, forever changed by choices made under pressure mounting higher than ever imagined possible. The gallery buzzed with energy as guests milled about, their laughter and chatter creating a vibrant backdrop. I stood near the entrance, heart pounding, trying to calm the storm inside me. The air was thick with anticipation, and I could feel eyes on me, some curious, others judgmental. My husband had called just before the event started, his voice steady yet laced with an undercurrent of tension. He had asked me to meet him outside for a moment before the official opening began. Claire. My stepson's voice pulled me from my thoughts. He approached with a camera slung around his neck, his usual enthusiasm dimmed by the weight of our shared secret. Are you okay? I forced a smile, but it felt fragile. Just nervous about tonight. He nodded, glancing around as if searching for something or someone. You'll be great. Everyone's excited to see your work. Thanks. I took a deep breath, attempting to dispel my anxiety. The truth loomed over us like an ominous cloud, threatening to unleash its fury at any moment. As guests began to gather around the first exhibit featuring my photographs, I felt a mix of pride and dread. Each image represented not just my artistic journey but also the tangled emotions that had led me here, my search for validation and connection in a world that often felt isolating. Suddenly, I spotted my husband entering the gallery, his expression unreadable as he scanned the room. My stomach twisted at the sight of him. He was dressed sharply but looked out of place among the artistic crowd. The tension in my chest tightened further as he approached me with purpose. Can we talk? He asked quietly. I nodded slowly, glancing at my stepson who seemed to sense the impending storm. I'll be right back, I said softly before following my husband outside. The cool evening air hit me like a wave of reality crashing down after weeks of living in a haze of excitement and fear. What's going on? I asked once we reached a secluded corner away from prying eyes. I found something on your phone, he said bluntly, his gaze piercing through me like an arrow aimed straight at my heart. My breath caught in my throat as dread washed over me. He must have seen the video we recorded during one of our late-night sessions when emotions ran high and boundaries blurred. What did you see? Enough, he replied tersely. I saw enough to know there's more going on than you've admitted. Panic surged within me as I struggled to find words that could convey both regret and confusion without igniting further anger. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. Wasn't supposed to happen? Claire. You've betrayed not only our marriage but also this family. His voice rose slightly before he lowered it again, glancing around nervously as if fearing someone would overhear us. I didn't intend for this to spiral out of control, I pleaded, desperation creeping into my tone. I just wanted to feel alive again. His face softened momentarily before hardening again with resolve. And what about your stepson? What were you thinking? I don't know. My voice cracked under pressure as tears threatened to spill over. He understands me in ways you haven't for years. A silence settled between us, a heavy pause filled with unspoken words and harsh realities that neither of us wanted to confront fully. I need you to be honest with me now, he said finally, his tone shifting from anger to something softer yet more dangerous, disappointment mixed with hurt. Before I could respond, another guest stepped outside for fresh air, a stranger who glanced at us curiously before returning inside without acknowledging our conversation further. We can work through this, I insisted weakly, grasping at straws in hopes of salvaging what remained of our relationship. But he shook his head slowly, disappointment etched across his features like lines carved into stone. You don't understand how deep this goes. The weight of those words hung between us like an anchor pulling down everything we once held dear, a past filled with laughter and love now overshadowed by betrayal and secrets. I'm going back inside, he finally said flatly before turning away from me abruptly without another word or glance back toward where I stood frozen in place, lost amidst swirling emotions threatening to drown out any remnants of clarity left within me. When I returned inside the gallery space moments later, my heart racing, I found my stepson waiting near one of my photographs displaying vibrant colors capturing fleeting moments from nature's beauty intertwined with raw emotion reflecting deeper truths hidden beneath surface appearances. Art that had become both solace and torment during recent weeks spent together navigating uncharted waters filled with passion masked behind shadows lurking just beyond reach. "Is everything okay?" he asked softly as concern flickered across his face, a mirror reflecting fears shared silently between us both now laid bare under fluorescent lights illuminating paths ahead obscured moments ago. "No," I murmured under my breath barely audible above din surrounding us. It felt impossible even uttering those words aloud given all we'd created together. The intimacy forged through shared experiences captured forever within frames hanging before us now tauntingly whispering secrets long kept hidden away. A sudden commotion erupted nearby drawing attention toward an excited group gathered around another exhibit unveiling new works by local artists. Laughter echoed through halls filled with creativity sparking inspiration yet somehow amplifying feelings trapped within myself too deeply rooted ever breaking free. Then it happened, the moment that would change everything forever. A stranger approached holding up their camera aimed directly at us capturing fragments frozen in time unguarded emotions laid bare beneath bright lights illuminating chaos unfolding around us. "What are you doing?" My stepson stepped closer instinctively protective yet unsure how best navigate impending fallout looming overhead threatening swallow everything whole if left unchecked. But it was too late. Flashes erupted blinding momentarily while panic surged through veins coursing wildly fueled by uncertainty gripping tightly around heart beating faster than ever before. And there we stood exposed, two souls intertwined caught between desire and duty facing consequences spiraling beyond control leaving nothing but shadows lingering behind chasing after fleeting moments lost forevermore. The chaos erupted around me, a whirlwind of whispers and gasps. I stood frozen, my heart pounding as the reality of my situation crashed over me like a tidal wave. The gallery, once a haven for creativity and expression, had transformed into a stage for my unraveling. My husband's voice cut through the noise, sharp and accusing. "Claire, is this what you've been doing behind my back?" he shouted, his eyes blazing with betrayal. I wanted to shrink away, to disappear into the walls adorned with art that now felt like mockery. But I couldn't move, I was paralyzed by the weight of the truth hanging in the air. My stepson stood beside me, his face pale yet resolute. "Dad, wait," he started, but my husband waved him off. "Stay out of this. You think you can just come in and take what's mine?" His voice trembled with anger and pain. I could see the confusion etched on my stepson's face as he struggled to understand the depth of what was happening. "This isn't just about you two," he insisted, stepping closer to me as if to shield me from the storm brewing between us. But it was too late. Flashes erupted blinding momentarily while panic surged through veins coursing wildly fueled by uncertainty gripping tightly around heart beating faster than ever before. The crowd began to murmur louder, their curiosity morphing into judgment as they witnessed this intimate betrayal unfold publicly. "Claire." My husband's voice rose again, slicing through the tension like a knife. "How could you do this? After everything?" His question hung in the air, heavy with accusation and disbelief. I opened my mouth to respond but found no words, only silence echoed back at me. Instead of defending myself or explaining how I had sought comfort in someone who understood my artistic struggles better than anyone else ever had, I felt a bitter taste of regret wash over me. The gallery walls closed in as if they were witnesses to my transgressions, each piece of art now glaring at me with disdain for my choices. I had let myself slip into this tangled web of emotions without considering the consequences that would inevitably follow. Suddenly, a stranger approached with a camera slung around their neck, a curious spectator drawn in by the drama unfolding before them. "Can you tell me what happened?" they asked innocently enough, but their gaze was already capturing every moment for posterity. I turned away from them, ashamed and overwhelmed by the spectacle we had become. This wasn't how it was supposed to be, not like this, not in front of strangers who would later discuss our lives over coffee or gossip at dinner parties. "Claire," my stepson said softly now, his voice steady despite the chaos swirling around us. "You don't have to explain anything right now." He reached out to touch my arm gently as if grounding me amidst the storm. But how could I not? How could I stand there silently while everything fell apart? The weight of shame pressed down on my shoulders. It felt suffocating yet liberating all at once. Perhaps it was time to confront not just them but also myself, the choices that led me here. My voice faltered as I finally found some semblance of strength within me. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. Each word felt like a confession laced with desperation and sorrow. My husband scoffed as if dismissing any attempt at an explanation. "Didn't mean for it? You chose this path. You chose him over our family." His words struck deep, an arrow aimed straight at my heart, and suddenly all those moments spent creating art together flashed through my mind, laughter shared over failed shots and stolen glances that lingered longer than they should have. Those moments were real, they mattered deeply, until they didn't anymore. "I didn't choose anyone," I replied firmly now, emboldened by clarity amidst confusion swirling within me like autumn leaves caught in wind gusts outside the gallery windows. "I wanted something more than what we had, something real." The crowd shifted slightly as whispers grew louder. People leaned closer trying to catch every detail unfolding before them like an uninvited play unfolding on stage without warning. My husband shook his head vehemently as if trying to shake off disbelief while struggling against emotions threatening to consume him whole, a mix of anger and hurt radiating off him almost palpable in its intensity. "And did you find it?" he asked bitterly, his eyes searching mine desperately for answers even though he knew deep down there weren't any easy ones left anymore between us now splintered apart by secrets long kept hidden beneath layers built up over years spent together slowly crumbling away under scrutiny's harsh light. "I thought I did," I admitted quietly, my voice barely above a whisper yet resonating louder than any shout echoing throughout that crowded gallery filled with curious onlookers witnessing our downfall firsthand becoming partakers rather than mere spectators watching from afar detachedly commenting silently amongst themselves about lives unraveling right before their very eyes without restraint nor regard for feelings involved here tonight. A moment stretched out painfully until finally breaking when someone shouted from somewhere behind, a stranger perhaps emboldened by adrenaline coursing through them witnessing raw human emotion laid bare before them, "This is art." Their words hung eerily in silence following immediately after another flash went off capturing yet another moment forever preserved within pixels. An image immortalized whilst reality continued spiraling downward uncontrollably leaving nothing but shadows lingering behind chasing after fleeting moments lost forevermore. And there we stood exposed, two souls intertwined caught between desire and duty facing consequences spiraling beyond control leaving nothing but shadows lingering behind chasing after fleeting moments lost forevermore. The gallery buzzed with a mix of hushed whispers and sharp gasps, the air thick with tension as I stood frozen, exposed under the weight of my choices. My husband's voice echoed in my ears, his words slicing through the ambient noise like a knife. "How could you do this to us?" The shame seeped into my skin, igniting a deep-seated fear that had long been buried beneath layers of complacency. I glanced at my stepson, his face a mixture of anger and confusion. He had tried to protect me, but now we were both ensnared in this web of betrayal. The crowd around us shifted uneasily, their eyes darting between us as if waiting for the next act in this tragic play. I could feel the heat rising in my cheeks, not just from humiliation but from an overwhelming sense of loss, the loss of the woman I thought I was. As I stepped back from the scene unfolding before me, I caught sight of the photographs displayed on the walls. Each image told a story, our stories, captured moments that now felt tainted by deceit. Laughter and joy had turned into whispers of scandal. My heart sank further as I remembered how these images had once brought me life. They were my escape, my connection to something greater than myself. Now they felt like chains binding me to a past filled with regret. I didn't mean for any of this to happen, I whispered to no one in particular, feeling small amidst the chaos. My stepson's eyes bore into mine, searching for answers that eluded both of us. You don't have to explain, he replied quietly, his voice barely audible over the murmurs surrounding us. But we need to figure out what comes next. I nodded absently, still grappling with the enormity of our situation. The gallery was supposed to be a celebration, a showcase of creativity and connection, but instead it had become a courtroom where judgment loomed heavy in the air. How did we go from shared dreams to public disgrace? My heart raced with each passing moment as I contemplated what lay ahead. My husband's presence loomed large behind me. I could sense him watching every move I made with an intensity that felt suffocating. The weight of his disappointment pressed down on my shoulders like a physical burden. In all our years together, we had built a life based on trust and companionship, a foundation that now lay in ruins. Claire, he called out again, his tone sharper this time. We need to talk. The urgency in his voice sent chills down my spine. He was demanding accountability at a moment when all I wanted was escape from this reality that felt increasingly unbearable. Before I could respond, he stepped forward into the fray, drawing attention away from me momentarily as he faced our audience head-on. This isn't just about Claire and her choices, he declared loudly enough for everyone to hear. It's about all of us, the impact on our family. His words hung in the air like an uninvited guest, stirring up emotions long buried beneath layers of everyday life. I watched him speak with fervor. Part of me admired his resolve while another part recoiled at how easily he shifted blame onto me alone. It took two people to create what we had forged together, two people who had failed each other profoundly. Let's just leave, I murmured softly to my stepson as panic surged within me like wildfire threatening to consume everything in its path. But he shook his head slowly. He understood that running wouldn't erase what happened, it would only deepen our scars. With measured strides, my husband returned to face me again after addressing those who had gathered around us like vultures waiting for scraps from our shattered lives. His expression was unreadable, a mixture of hurt and anger swirling beneath the surface like storm clouds ready to unleash their fury at any moment. Claire, he began again more quietly this time but still firm enough for me not to dismiss him entirely, we need honesty now more than ever. I swallowed hard against mounting tears threatening release at any moment as emotions swirled chaotically within me, fear battling guilt battling shame battling anger, all fighting for dominance over reason. Honesty? I echoed incredulously while glancing back towards where our photographs hung proudly yet mockingly along those stark white walls, testaments now tainted by betrayal rather than beauty or connection. Yes, he replied steadily, meeting my gaze unflinchingly despite everything unraveling around us so rapidly it felt surreal, almost dreamlike yet painfully real all at once, too much, too soon, too raw, too real. I never wanted any of this. My voice broke slightly under pressure, spilling forth emotions too long suppressed. A floodgate opened, revealing vulnerability previously hidden beneath layers built over years spent trying desperately holding everything together even when it threatened to fall apart completely. He stepped closer, bridging distance between us while offering solace through presence alone, though words remained elusive, still hanging there unspoken, hovering above our heads, waiting patiently until we found courage enough to face them together perhaps. But before either one could utter another syllable or make sense out loud amidst chaos erupting around us, an unexpected flash erupted, blindingly bright, capturing moments forever lost within pixels, immortalizing pain etched across faces surrounding us. The sound reverberated throughout space, filling void left behind after silence enveloped everything else, leaving nothing but shadows lingering behind, chasing fleeting moments lost forevermore. Suddenly realizing someone else held power over narrative unfolding before us. The photographer capturing chaos while simultaneously preserving it forever within frames never meant intended showcase anything beautiful, only raw truth laid bare before audience watching closely, awaiting next act unfold. In that instant clarity struck hard, hitting home harder than any words exchanged previously ever could. I needed redemption not just for myself but also those loved ones caught within storm brewing dangerously close, threatening engulf everyone whole if left unchecked. As realization settled deep inside, soul-aching yearning towards self-acceptance began forming amidst wreckage left behind. I turned away from gallery-filled memories, hauntingly familiar yet painfully distant now. Walking away felt liberating yet terrifying all at once, knowing consequences awaited beyond doors leading outside world, stark contrast against vivid colors painted across walls where laughter once echoed freely. What awaited beyond threshold remained uncertain still. Uncertainty lingered heavy upon shoulders, weighed down by choices made, decisions taken without foresight, consequences looming large ahead, casting shadows stretching far beyond sight, leaving nothing but questions unanswered, lingering silently, begging resolution.